That's right. It's the Old Head Show. Thank you for joining me for another episode. What is this, the third, fourth episode of the Old Head Show? Doesn't matter. Thank you for joining me. The Old Head Show, if you are unaware, is my show. So clearly. And so I just talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about. And I've got things. So just, get yourself comfortable, grab a beverage of your choice. I'm about to grab a beverage of my choice. Let's just fucking get started right away. So the last time I did one of these, I tried out that new Pantera beer, the Vulgar Display of Lager, and I'm like, all right, I got to incorporate that into every episode I do of the Old Head Show. Obviously, there's not going to be banned beers all the time to try, but I decided I would just try something new. And I was in the supermarket today. Oh, you can kind of see the box a little bit. I was in the supermarket today, and I saw this box, and I went, that looks fucking rad. I'm going to try that. And it's this right here. Cocytus. And it's two beers in this box. And this says it's a rye whiskey barrel-aged imperial stout with cacao nibs. Or how the fuck do you say? I don't fucking know. I'm uncultured as they come, folks. I don't know. But I thought the box looked amazing. And this is a Texas beer. I live in Texas. I live in Houston. This is brewed in Fort Worth, Texas by the Martin House Brewing Company. And I just like, man, this thing looks cool enough that I'll get it just to show all my peeps, all the old head fans out there. And there's a little about the beer section on the back, so let's read it real quick. I'm gonna need these. So, intense rye whiskey about the beer.
The river Cocytus is a cold and dismal place in Dante's Inferno. It's a treacherous body of water and ice that surrounds Hades and has trapped thousands of souls. At Martin House, Cocytus is our intense, barrel-aged imperial stout with cacao nibs.
Please tell me if I'm pronouncing that wrong.
We aged this brew for 4 to 6 months in rye whiskey barrels. To balance out the aggressive barrel flavor, cacao nibs were added. This beer is not to be taken lightly. It's said that the river is the main resting place for traitors and wrongdoers. One thing is for sure, do not turn your back on
Cocytus. It's probably like coquitus or something. Cocytus. Yeah. Let's drink some cocytus. I just like the presentation of this too. Let's see if I can actually even get into the box. All right, here we go. Oh, cocytus. Pretty sweet. Oh, look at that. Look at that. I don't even know if I want to drink this. That looks just so damn cool. All right, but you know what? That's what it's all about here on the Old Head Show, trying a new beer. So let's do this. Whoa. It's very flavorful, but I can taste the whiskey in it. The whiskey barrel or whatever. And it has kind of like a sweet flavor to it too. I like it. It's an interesting. This isn't the kind of thing I drink all the time because I'm your basic ass light beer drinker. But for a special occasion such as this, Cocytus is. If somebody from Martin House is watching, how do you really pronounce it? This is a pretty good beer. All right, cool. Moving on with the show. So what I decided to do, because, it's still an evolving thing, the Old Head Show. And I'm all like, well, what can I incorporate into this show? Because it's just whatever I want it to be. So I'm like, okay, well, let's incorporate other things that people enjoyed into this show. So a few of you may have remembered that I used to do a series of videos called Old Head on the Porch. And that was just literally me sitting on my front porch in a rocking chair, and I would talk about the current events of music that I cared to talk about. And I stopped doing those because, if you watched it, you know that I had a white rocking chair that somebody literally just walked up off of the street and took it and then walked away and walked down the street. And then I replaced that with a black rocking chair. Much cooler. But then all of a sudden, because of all the rain that we were getting and where the chair was positioned, that shit just completely fell apart. And I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to buy another chair. This is This is ridiculous. So there hasn't been another old head on the porch, but it doesn't mean that there's not stuff going on in the world. And when I say in the world, I'm not going to get into other news. I mean, we're going to keep this music related just because that's what my channel's all about. So our first story, no, let's talk about some news that's happened this month. Let's keep it to this month just so, it's a little bit current. A lot of this you guys probably already fucking know about. Well, whatever. I'll put my 2 cents in for how I feel about these stories. The first thing that came up was that there is going to be a Spinal Tap 2. So my first reaction to that was, fuck yeah. Like, I didn't even hesitate because I trust Christopher Guest and Michael McKean and Harry Shearer and Rob Reiner. All those dudes coming back. The original people that made that movie happen are back for this sequel. And just the fact that the kind of comedy that Spinal Tap was and the kind of movies that Christopher Guest makes, he makes a lot of like the mockumentary type things, and they're always really funny. Just knowing like the fact that they're now an aged rock band in their 60s, 70s, whatever. I feel like there's a gold mine of material that they could dig into for that movie. So I have no doubt that it's going to be really funny. And I love those guys, and I love that original movie. And I don't think that this is it's not gonna ruin the first one. I think it's gonna stand up and be just another addition. If you're a fan here, hey, you get some more with these guys. So I'm actually looking forward to that. Next, I touched on a couple of these when I did my live stream, but I don't know who all caught that or even wanted to watch it, but I'll touch on this really quick also. Very recently on an episode of, I think it was a Banger TV live stream, Blake Ibanez from Power Trip was on there, and he kind of made some cryptic remarks about there being new Power Trip or Power Trip stuff in the near future. And some people asked like how I felt about that. And he was pretty vague because he didn't say there was a new vocalist. He didn't say if this was old, material that they were just finishing up before Riley Gale passed away, or what. He didn't say anything about that. So my 2 cents, which I already said in my live stream, I'm sorry if you've already heard it, but I'll say it again here. I would prefer this to be a thing where if there is the availability to finish up stuff they were working on and put out one last release in the memory of Riley Gale, I would prefer that. I would love it if they were able to do that. Who knows if they are. Secondly, if they decide to forge ahead with a new vocalist, this is just my opinion. And when it comes to metal, I've learned that my opinion isn't very loud because there's a lot of obnoxious people who seem to want similar things that are not what I want. But if they get a new vocalist, I just want them to not get the same kind of vocalist. I don't want them to get a dude that sounds kind of like Riley. That's going to be very boring. He has to bring something new to the table, something that makes it fresh and makes me feel okay with them moving forward, because they literally just do the same old shit. I'm gonna get bored very quickly. So I hope that that's what they're doing. I hope that they're either going to put out some old stuff, or if they have a new guy, he's just have him bring something new to the table. That's all I want, guys. But I'm just one dude, so who the fuck am I? Speaking of bands putting out new material, it was also announced that the band Daath was going to be releasing something new. They've been teasing it with like some pictures of them with like guitars next to laptops kind of shit. But it hasn't been very clear. And very recently there was an interview with vocalist Sean Zatorsky, and he was basically giving an update of what was going on, it's an odd update because it seems like what's happening right now is only guaranteed to involve him and guitarist Eyal Levy, however you pronounce his name, I always get it wrong, which is great. That guy's a great guitar player. But then he said that bassist Jeremy Creamer and guitarist Emil Wursler will be involved if they can. And that just makes me kind of go, oh, that doesn't sound very promising. I mean, and then the drummer, Kevin Talley, who was on the last album, he's not involved either. And so I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about this, because I want to hear new Daath. And because if you guys don't remember, I did a Bands You Should Know video on Daath. Check it out if you haven't. Either way, I'll be interested to see what they do. But just that thing of like, well, these other two dudes may not have the time. I don't know why that just makes me feel like, okay, well, I'm already a little bit suspicious of this. But either way, I'm going to be all ears when it comes out because Daath's a great band, and so I'm looking forward to whatever it is that they do. Also, on the new music front, it was announced that King's X, that's right, one of my favorite bands of all time, is going to be releasing a new album on September 2nd and through Inside Out Music. I think they finished it a while back, and obviously the pandemic kind of put a lot of plans on hold, but they're finally going to release the new King's X album, which is their first album since 2008. And I'm looking forward to whatever it is that they're doing. For those of you who've been paying attention, one of my favorite albums, possibly my absolute favorite album to come out this year, was the solo album from Ty Tabor, the guitarist of King's X. So I'm looking forward to whatever this is. I'm also supposed to see King's X live here in Houston in October. Hopefully that'll still go as planned, and hopefully I'll have some sort of video for you guys when that happens. And our final story for tonight. Ted Nugent is not dead yet. Sorry about that. All right, let's move on to that. So let's move on. Very recently, if you're curious about my shirt, obviously I live in Houston, Texas, and the man that's on this T-shirt right here is one DJ Screw. And for those of you who may not be aware of DJ Screw, I mean, if you don't listen to hip hop, you definitely don't know who he is. But if you do, you might know who he is. He's a guy that in the 90s pioneered a style of, I guess you could say, remixing and DJing that's called chopped and screwed. Which essentially, if you've ever been driving down the street and that car comes up next to you and they're really booming and it sounds like the song is a 45 being played on 33, that's a big element of chopped and screwed. With some other things here and there, but he was, a pioneer of that. And he's in the hip hop world and in Houston, he's a big deal. He died in the early 2000s, but I very recently decided I wanted to go check out Screwed Up Records, which is not very far from where I live, because it's iconic. It's not the original location. It actually moved several years ago, and so, I didn't get to go to the original one, but whatever. I went to the current one, and there's some pictures, of that. The interesting thing about that is that, I went in there thinking, oh, they're going to have all sorts of DJ Screw mixes, mixed tapes, mixed CDs, whatever. And honestly, the store was pretty small and 95% clothing. So, I wanted to show my support, and so, I bought this shirt, which is great because it's got Houston and it's got DJ Screw with a little halo, and he's holding the U in Houston, and the O is you can see it for yourself. It wasn't quite the experience that I wanted, but it was fun to go and check out an iconic record store. I mean, I can't even say record store. I don't know why I wanted to talk about that. I think it's just because it's music related and it's from my town, and I was very happy to go see it and support them by buying this shirt. I think you can buy shit online. If you're interested, you can Google DJ Screw, and then you can buy stuff online from them if you really give a shit. Or just, go pour yourself some purple drink and, party it up. Speaking of purple drink, yeah. All right, what should we talk about next? I've got things on a list to talk about. Very recently, once again, let's find a way for me to talk about Metallica on my channel because they're my favorite band of all time, and I love talking about them. So very recently, I was on eBay, and there was a guy that was selling off all of his So What magazines. And for those of you who don't know what So What is, it was a fan magazine that Metallica sold through their fan club starting in the mid 90s, and then they ended in 2015. And this guy was selling each 4-issue set, because it's 4 issues per year, he was selling each 4-issue set for $5. Now that was the starting bid. And so I'm all like, there's no fucking way that this shit's gonna stay at $5. But it fucking did. And I'm you know what? I'm one of those people, I think on eBay, they hate me because I literally just set an alarm and I wait for the last minute and I pounce. And I'm like, give me that shit for $5. And I literally got all of the So What issues from the year 2000 all the way to 2015 when it ended, each lot for $5 a piece. It ended up being, over $100 or whatever in shipping, but that's a damn good deal. I apologize to whoever was selling them. They probably thought they were going to be getting more, but I'm a jerk off and I tried to get shit for cheap, and I did. So I thought I would show you guys, for those of you who aren't big fans, I'm just going to show you the first series from the year 2000, which is a really interesting year for the band. Because several things happen. So here's the very first issue. It's in a bag. I'll show you a couple of the other ones, but it's a pretty thick magazine, and it's got all sorts of stuff, stories of the stuff that's going on at the time with the band, interviews, shit like normal magazines have, where people can write in and say, I'm a metalhead and I have no friends. That was my letter. But the cool thing about these is that there's this I think this issue here, this was issue number 2. There was a couple interesting things in that one. Number 1, it talks about how there were a couple shows where James Hetfield was injured his back, and they did this series of shows where they did shorter sets, and they had other people from Korn and other bands come on and do songs with them instead of James, and then Jason handled a lot of the vocals. And that's pretty interesting. But also, along with that, this was in the year 2000, which means this is when Napster was going on. And there's an issue where there's a report of when they went to the Supreme Court, or was it the Supreme Court, whatever court Lars went to, and talked about what happened with that. And then there's a really long interview with Lars about what the Napster thing is all about, which honestly, I feel like anybody that feels like they have an opinion on that should read that. That should be just out there readily for everybody to fucking read. Because it really puts into perspective how he felt about it. And then it really, a small part of it was money. And a lot of people like to point at it and say, he was money hungry. But now, all of the bands that you love, those bands are all happy for what he was doing. Because he was right. Shit got worse. And who knows where it could be if artists like him and the people that kind of jumped on later, where would it be if they hadn't have said anything? So, and then along with that, there's this issue. This one's not sealed yet, so I'll show it to you. There's Jason. This is an entire issue, all about Jason Newsted, which is kind of a bittersweet issue because for those of you who know Metallica, in the year 2000, that was his last year in the band. He quit very soon after this. And there are some interesting interviews. Here's the other issue. There are some interesting interviews where you can tell that the band, something wasn't right. They weren't quite getting along with Jason, or he had a problem with them. That it was all that shit about him wanting to do his side project, Echo Brain, which at that point was already coming out. Metallica, he was still in Metallica, and Echo Brain was already supposed to be coming out. So they had already given it their blessing, but I think maybe there was some bad blood. Who the fuck knows? I wasn't there, so I don't know. But it's just really interesting to, I'm going to enjoy reading all of these issues, but just reading this first 4 from the year 2000, I'm just this is such an interesting snapshot of what was happening with that band at that time. And it's only going to get more interesting because I get to then read the snapshot of what was going on when they decided to get a therapist, and when Saint Anger came out, and when they decided to make a movie, and all of it, literally all the way up until 2015. So I'm super, super, super excited to get my hands on the So What magazine. So I thought I would share some of those with you guys. I feel like this episode is a little more rambly, and I apologize for that. Let me know in the comments how you feel. Do you like this more conversational kind of thing? Because I feel like that's what this needs to be anyway. Next up, let's talk about an album. This is actually related to the very first episode I did of the Old Head Show, because I talked about getting one of my Holy Grail albums, the Morgoth album, Feel Sorry for the Fanatic. And I ended up finding a copy of another album related to Morgoth because it has Mark Grew, the vocalist of Morgoth, as the vocalist of this band. And it's this album right here. The band is called Power of Expression, and Exterritorial is the name of the album. And this came out in 1995. And what this is, it is 90s metal. It sounds very much of the time, but it's so well done. It is such a good album. It's an album that I'm still baffled that more people don't talk about it. I know it was a smaller release and it's from Germany and whatnot. So maybe in America it just didn't make any kind of dent and nobody knows about it, but seriously. And the interesting thing that I didn't know at the time was that Power of Expression was initially started as a band that was just going to do a cover album of an album called Power of Expression by a hardcore band called Blast, or BL''ast. I don't know how you say that. I don't really know the band, but they literally were getting together to do a tribute cover version of this particular album by this hardcore band. And it had different vocalists on it. And then they decided to continue as Power of Expression with Mark Grew on vocals and did one album. And it's a fucking fantastic album. I'm just, like I said, it's here's the inner sleeve. It's very, look at the artwork for like each song and stuff. It's very 90s. But in the best way possible. And then there's the record. I feel like I haven't shown a record in a long time. I used to do that all the time. So yeah, Power of Expression, Exterritorial. I don't know if it's on streaming services. You may have to look it up on YouTube or whatever way that you get music, however you do it. I highly recommend it. If you like that, like just an average 90s sound, but done really well. Like it's really good. Then I highly recommend that album. All right, so I got one more thing to share with you guys before I let you go. Another eBay find. So I'm a really big fan of the movie Wayne's World. One of my favorite movies of all time. I'm such a big fan that I also enjoy the sequel to that movie, Wayne's World 2, which I'm not going to argue. It's nowhere near as good as the first one, but it's grown on me over the years and I really enjoy it. The same way that I was talking about like Spinal Tap 2, it's like if you really enjoy something, another movie of it, why would you not at least enjoy it? Even if it's not as good, it's like, well, I love this movie so much, the characters continue here. So that's how I feel about Wayne's World 2.
Good tunes, good brew, good buddies.
But I found somebody on eBay that was selling lobby cards for Wayne's World 2. Like an original, complete, unopened pack of them. For those of you who don't know what lobby cards are, essentially back in the day, so these are from like 1993. It's very weird because lobby cards, what they were, is way, way, way back in the day. Before they did movie trailers. Movie trailers were not a really big thing. And so the movie companies would print out these large cards like I'm about to show you that shows you different images from the movie. And they would have those out in the lobby and people would walk past them and go, oh, that movie looks interesting, and not having to see a trailer. Why they were still doing them in 1993 when trailers were already had been a thing for years and years, I have no idea, but I bought them and I'm very happy I did. So let's look at them. So this is what it looks like. So you may have seen similar things for older movies, but it's got the name of the movie, the tagline. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll hurl. Oh, again, because it's number 2, get it? And then it's got the image of them when they were dressed up like the Village People. And then this next one, it's Wayne and Tia Carrere. And these are they're, you can see they're pretty big and they're like poster kind of material. There's Wayne with the father, and then here's Garth with Kim Basinger. Got any Megadeth? I'm just gonna show you guys all these. It's Wayne, Garth, Tia Carrere. I know Cassandra is her name in the movie, but come on, show some respect. Anyway, so here's Wayne and Cassandra at the end of the movie where they were running away from the wedding. And we got a couple more. Wayne and Garth on the set of their TV show. And last but not least, okay, good thing we're ending this soon. Garth doing some kind of speech. I don't really remember what he's exactly saying in that point in the movie. But yeah, so these things were just, it existed to promote the movie to people that maybe didn't know about it, and they would see images from it. So if anybody knows the answer to that question, why they still made these in the 90s, that's fascinating to me. But also I'm very happy that I have them. What am I going to do with them? I have no fucking clue. I don't really have any space left on my walls. And so I don't know where they're going to go. I would like them to go somewhere, but this is one of those things, like I said, like I buy things now because I can. And I love that I have these, but I'm like, well, what do I do with them? We'll find out. Stay tuned, I guess. A very tasty beer. All right. As I said on the previous episode, every episode of the Old Head Show is going to end with me opening a pack of rock cards. And last time we did this, and it was pretty uneventful, but I grabbed a pack from the very bottom of the box. So maybe it'll change things up this time. I don't know. Let's see what we get. All right, here we go. Oh my God, that is not a good start. Jerry Garcia. Ugh. Ooh, the art card is pretty cool. Look at that. We got a Rust in Peace art card. That's pretty awesome. So, all right, that's good. That makes up for the Jerry Garcia. Rob Afuso from Skid Row. Okay. Oh, everybody's favorite. Winger. Jerry Dixon from Warrant. This is proving to be a fairly uneventful pack as well. Until now, fucking Marty Friedman from Megadeth. Oh, man. Little Marty Friedman facts on the back there. Pause that if you want to read them. Alice Cooper. Ooh, Cozy Powell, one-time drummer of Black Sabbath. Poison. God damn it. Brian James from the Dan Reed Network. I'm starting to believe that the Rock Cards Company, the whole point was them just trying to promote the Dan Reed Network. Nobody cares. All right, Janie Lane, rest in peace, Janie Lane. He was a great vocalist. I'll take that as a cool card in this pack. Oh shit! Corey Clark from Warrior Soul. Oh, and his doesn't have stats on the back. His has like the card list. But look at that. Corey Clark is fucking rad. Hey, double Marty Friedman, a different Marty Friedman card. I don't think I have either one of these actually. Fred Corey, drummer of Cinderella. And last but not least, the Poison Boys are back. So doesn't matter. Apparently, it doesn't matter where you grab the pack from. But at least this one did have. The fact that Corey Clark was in there, that made this a better pack for me. So there you go. Another Rock Cards pack opened. I literally haven't been opening any of them except for the ones I did on my videos. So there's still probably like 45 packs left to open. So stay tuned, folks. Cockitus? Oh, God. I'm a child. With this awesome fucking can and then this awesome box. Look at that. I feel like I just want to open this up and like put it on my wall when I'm done. So, yeah. Thank you very much for joining me on the Old Head Show, which has literally just become come hang with Steven in his room and he talks your ear off about shit. So, yes, that has been this episode of the Old Head Show. Thank you very much for joining me. And I will see you all again very, very soon.